Hey, this is Paul, and we get the question sometimes where people have a problem where the dragon fruit's not growing, like this example here. Believe it or not, this is one of George Emerick Jr.'s Undatus, and it's 4 years old. And look at how neglected it is. I'm sad to say I've neglected it. And so we've done just about everything wrong to this plant that you can do. So one, it's in way too much shade, as you can see. So it only gets a little bit of sunlight in the afternoons, also in a really windy spot, if you can feel the wind or hear the wind. And then also I'm using, back then, that was Fox Farms potting soil. And I maybe added some pumice, maybe back then, or perlite. And you can see how much it's compacted over time. Also, the pot's too small. So all of these factors, look, a 4-year-old plant. In fact, I've grown seedlings from seed since I've gotten this plant, and they've already fruited. So you can grow these where they're almost in kind of like a comatose state. You know, it kind of reminds me of Han Solo in that metal, I can't remember what you call it, but that's kind of the analogy I'd say for this plant here. So I'm gonna show you how to fix this plant. We can get this thing to grow, no problem. So let's head to the back of the yard and give this thing some TLC. So believe it or not, these are the same age here. This is a seedling we grew from 2020, same time we got this. So definitely your soil health and plant health and fertilizers matter. So let me show you how I save this. Come on back. So the first step is that I want to remove all of that compost and old anaerobic soil. So I dump it out, and I'm rough with the plant. I just break it up. I want to get rid of as much of that compost as you can. You can see it's mostly turned actually to a lot of pumice. Don't want to breathe it if you don't have to. Try to save the main roots as well, like this big root here. You can see just what happens after 4 years now to potting soil with a lot of compost in it. I mean, that's a pretty pathetic root ball for 4 years, right? I mean, look at that. So, that's your first step. Then, I'm gonna go ahead and repot it, but you can see, I think this pot is a little small. I like 5-gallon pots, I don't have any handy, so I'm gonna use this size. So this is our compost-free potting soil. It's kind of similar to Gary's Best Top Pot. It's got pumice, perlite, sunshine mix number 4, some biochar, humic acid, and earthworm castings. I think that's about it. I do have a little coconut core, and for what it's worth, I am no longer using that because over time, the decomposers go crazy. They love to eat the coconut core, the chunky stuff. So within 3 to 4 years, it really kind of breaks down. It's kind of like, I think, a pill bug's favorite thing to eat, and earthworms as well. So no more coconut core in my potting soil. It's not bad, it's just, it attracts a lot of the decomposers in my experience. So I get it back into this nice potting soil mixture. And I like to make sure it's dry. You can see it's really dry soil. A lot of people say, why isn't it wet? Well, these are epiphytic cacti and they're really resilient. So I like to let them kind of dry out a bit in case I damage their roots for about, I don't know, 3 to 4 days before I water this really heavily. So just a little bit of time to recover. That should be about good. Always use planter's tape. You can see I also relabeled this. So I have these pens now that last a few years, so that way I won't get it mixed up. And then I even take the time to use metal tags. I'll do some metal tags as well. So I feel kind of embarrassed that I've neglected so many of these George Emerick Jr. plants, but I'm not a big Undatus fan. I'm not a big Polyrhizis fan. They tend to kind of taste very similar. So I will treat them better, but I've just been neglecting them. So if you've been wondering what's happening, they're still around, they're just not getting treated as well as they should. So anyways, what I do is I'll get it in the shade just like that. Notice this is under a nice Hass avocado tree. It's gonna get tons of shade. In fact, you can see I did the same thing to a different George Emerick Jr.'s plant here. This is number 17, and I did that a few weeks ago. And you can see, look at the difference. So soil health, getting it out of Fox Farms is key because look at the difference in color. See, when they're really unhappy, they're gonna be that more lime green color versus this dark green. And this one's really bouncing back. Now the next thing I would do is I would go and get some fertilizer. I really like Grow Power Plus, or you could use compost, Fox Farms, and put it on the top as a top dressing. So I'm gonna fertilize that, and again, I'm gonna water it in a few days. So that's, in short, what I do for these really sick, unhealthy dragon fruit plants that aren't growing, that are several years old, and this is how I get them to bounce back. So I expect that this thing will bounce back within a few weeks. So again, keep it out of the sun, don't stress it out some more, and then in a few days, keep it really wet, that nice potting soil, get it nice and moist, and I'll probably water this thing about 3 days a week. So there you go, I hope that helps. Give us a like, subscribe, thanks for watching, take care.